Okay. All right, so here we go. So the scenario is paint us a picture, Jeebus, for discussions
Okay.
of import.
A picture.
Using words, a word picture of what it
Uh-huh.
is that we are role playing. I am something, and you are something tonight in
Right.
this discussion.
Right. We're starting it off with letting everyone know that this is a LARP.
Right.
Great. Perfect.
I mean, just
90% of you can just get out.
and we can always edit this out so people don't know it's a LARP. People can
Sure.
genuinely believe these are our opinions, especially when I go full tilt mode representing,
You
fascist
will.
companies.
Who want money for some reason.
Yeah, like people want to eat, man. Jeez.
Hey,
Do you want?
some people want to eat more expensive shit than you.
Yeah. Yeah, and they work hard to make that happen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's who I'm representing. That's what I'm
Right.
role playing.
And I am the impoverished consumer slash content creator who needs a platform. I need a platform. I need to create, and I need people to see what I create and pay me for what I create that makes life worth living. That makes life bearable. So you can flip on a YouTube and see a guy laugh at a carcass and think, yeah, I want to get up and watch this and see what happens next time.
Oh, that's
You
a
gotta
good
know.
one.
That is a good one. I didn't even know what that was, honestly, until like I think last week.
Yeah.
I always wait until someone tells me what is a content. I'll never go look it up because I'll always be disappointed. But if someone says, "Oh, it was this guy who did this," I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I can see why someone would have ran with that." But it's content.
Yeah.
It's
it is.
profitable content, man.
It is. It is. And yet while it's profitable content, like to a certain extent, it's up to the platform holder whether or not that profitable content is legitimate content that doesn't need censorship,
Yeah.
that is acceptable and is representative of the organization's goals and desires as a business.
Yeah, sure. Because I can't argue that. I'm the other guy.
You're not on my team tonight, Jesus.
I'm not on your team.
We're not teammates today.
No.
That's funny. But I am arguing, and I would take the position for the purpose of this discussion, that it is 100% the right of the platform owner to make a decision regarding the nature of content that is being hosted on the platform. It's that person or that group or that entity's platform.
Sure, yeah.
And if you don't like what's on that platform or you want to go elsewhere, then you should do that. You should go elsewhere.
Absolutely. Well, let's see. If I guess as a content creator, I got to make stuff that so far has been turning coin, right? I got to make something. It's
That generates
funny.
the wheels, yeah.
It's sure people come back. They come back. They want to see what else I got. I've got a viewership. Okay.
Yep.
I've got and the words that I say on it are misrepresented by people who don't like that I'm successful. Right. I've got a bunch of haters, and they misinterpret the message I'm trying to communicate, which is the Nazi Party is gone, and it should be made fun of all the time, as an indication that we have conquered it.
Sure.
Right?
So there it comes down to whether or not your content, right? I'm just making sure that I'm clarifying the scenario. So you want to make a video. So
Yes.
you have already. This
I
is not a
did.
desire.
It was
yeah.
great.
Yeah, you made a
I made
video
it 2 years ago.
and it was great, and lots of
Yeah.
people have viewed it and enjoyed it. And by lots, we could be talking anywhere between 100,000 to multiple millions.
Yeah, yeah.
But enough that it's gotten flagged within the company that I represent's traffic system to say, hey, this is generating a lot of traffic. Is this something that we want to pay out for? Do we want to promote and encourage other content in this similar style of vein?
Yes, and profit from it at the same time.
Yeah. Well, that's. I feel like that's a part of the discussion though tonight, is that you can't just assume that there is profit to be made from every piece of content that gets viewed. So, for instance,
Sure.
Chevrolet or a car company. Insert generic car company here. Chevy is not paying us for this podcast. So
No, Revlo Shea.
yeah,
That's
there
how
you go.
pronounce it.
Revlo Shea. So Revlo Shea, isn't going to promote their car on adult-rated material on the internet.
Really?
Right? They just won't. Your local healthcare provider, right? Like sign up for your weekly wellness check is not going to be in between XXX, deep throat gym.
Okay.
Right? Like advertisers are attracted to certain types of content, and they're not attracted to broadcasting on other types of content. And so while you may say, yes, this is garnering views, and views are good because views lead to sponsors getting their products being seen, ultimately that's not always the case. There are at least some circumstances that we can think where views are actually going to bring attention that will garner the ire, let's say, of marketing partners.
This is interesting. So that means that you have to, in the same vein that everyone is constantly scrubbing and trying to create something that, there's that chemistry of what does it mean for a thing to go viral, and how can we just make it happen?
Yep.
That is a constant equation that is going on. Meanwhile, you're telling me your company is actively trying very hard to be 2 steps ahead of that?
To not only predict what's going to be viral, but then to say, hey, if this goes viral, can we market this, right? Because there has to be a system already in place that when something is garnering views, not once it's already garnered views, but as something is garnering views, we can take advantage of that in marketing revenue, right? So you've got
Right.
So you not only need to be able to say, this is how many views this has. Well, the video that has 1 billion views and the video that has 1 view are going to have the exact same amount of profitability if neither of them garner any more views.
Right.
Right? From that moment on. Now, the one that's got 1 billion views obviously has garnered a lot more overall views. But from that moment on until there's more views, and that's what you're selling to your advertisers, is that these are the number of eyes that are actually going to see your stuff.
Right.
So if you do create content that is inappropriate or deemed censor worthy by my platform, then you put yourself, and by signing up for the terms of service, you have put yourself at the mercy of our company and our terms of service for deeming what's appropriate and what's not on our platform.
Yeah. It's the other fascinating bit is that if you have, again, what you said about number of eyes, number of sets of eyes that's going to view my stuff,
Yeah.
that struck a chord, because that means that you have an obligation to not, how do I phrase this? It's
Very carefully.
very carefully, yeah. It's
So let's say your dead body video,
yeah, sure.
right? Let's say your dead
Good
body
one.
video goes viral,
Obviously,
right?
yes.
Everybody loves it.
Everyone's infected.
Yeah, everybody's infected. And by everybody loves it, I don't mean everyone is passionately excited about it. What I mean is everyone has cast their eyes upon it, such that our streaming platform and service now has benefited and made money and made profit from this video.
Correct.
On my side, I've got to determine if we can continue doing that, whether that's over short-term or long-term gains.
Right.
And if I decide that your video is actually going to cost me money, whether that's in the short term or in the long term, again, depending on our goals as a company,
Yeah.
it's my platform, and I can say, see ya. That is, in essence, the big companies' argument for censorship. Like
It's a cost benefit analysis.
it's cost benefit, and there maybe are other factors as well. So, for instance, if you're a publicly owned company, maybe you've got to not only represent the bottom line of your stockholders, but maybe you also need to also, in some regard, represent the social desires of your consumers. And we see that all the time, right, with various companies coming out on social positions.
Yeah.
Whether that's the recent healthcare discussion that went all the way to the Supreme Court with Hobby Lobby, right, where particular private companies make very public political statements about particular social issues that may have nothing to do with any of the products that are sold and traded on the company's platform.
Yeah, that's the same as, a book writer who hates fags.
Sure, and so they write a book about I hate fags,
Or don't.
or I don't
Or
hate
it's
fags. I
completely-
love fags.
Or I read a book about not completely unrelated.
Sure,
But I happen to be a despicable human.
sure.
Maybe. Or I happen to not be in your eyes or whoever's eyes. Ender's Game sales might have gotten hurt because he hates gays. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe his publisher wanted him to shut up. Imagine that was the conversation.
Yeah.
Hey man, your book sales. He's like, hey man, I don't care. There was nothing in the contract that says I gotta not tell anybody I hate fags. I'm gonna do it if you tell me not to.
Right.
That's probably exactly how the conversation went.
Which freedom of speech, right? Like no
Yeah.
one is denying, and from a corporate standpoint, I don't think it's an issue. Like no one is denying that a government shouldn't tell people what can and can't be said, because the government has the power of military and of enforcement and the various mechanisms of enforcement.
Sure.
So whether or not that's firearms and or other means of force
Yeah.
to ensure that the law is either upheld, or if it's being violated, that the violators are subdued.
Sure.
Companies don't necessarily have that, and in fact, when companies do have that, we call them the mob,
Yeah. That's true.
right? Like that's
Yeah, the only thing you have is a lobbyist who can say things better than you can. That's why you hired him to do it.
and that's why you hired them. And so you can hopefully petition the government to make a move on your behalf,
Sure. Especially when you can afford it.
right? And they're the ones that are there to enforce the law anyway. And so why waste your company's precious resources and time, building an armed force to, enforce the things you want to happen? Just have the government do it. It's actually cheaper and more efficient anyway.
Yeah. Just hire some mercenaries.
Yeah, just hire some mercenaries called the government. But anyway,
Wait, so-
my client is in no way
Right.
endorsing hired mercenary armies. But
Indeed.
maybe we are.
Well, I mean, I call them the government, so it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, that's right.
I call that Uncle Samuel,
Uncle Sam.
so you know what I mean, winking strongly.
But that's where censorship becomes terrifying, and even from a corporate perspective, that's where censorship becomes terrifying, because if the government is censoring you, again, that affects your bottom line. If the government is censoring individuals, it affects the type of markets that you can interact with. But if a company censors somebody, that actually opens up market opportunity in a free market, to where another company can
does.
come in and say, hey, you know what? We're not going to censor so-and-so. So if my client YouTube says, well, your dead body video is a no-go, you then as a content creator can go, you know what? I don't even like YouTube. I'm going to go to Vimeo. And you're well within both your rights as well as your abilities to do so.
Yeah, because ultimately the market force in question here is companies who connect products with eyeballs,
Yep.
which is advertising companies.
Yeah.
So which is another bit of wizardry that I'm still not. I would love to sit in on a meeting like that. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm an advertising company and I talk like this. And to hear the truncated, compartmentalized jargon of that I bet that sounds like beef.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure that would be interesting. I mean, I've gotten to be into some very, very small end discussions of that. Not with content producers. Well,
Hmm.
with some small content producers, nothing the scale of any of the companies that we're pretending to be tonight. But with small businesses, right? And small
Sure.
businesses, I feel like those discussions are even. Well, I shouldn't say, comparatively. I shouldn't make a comparative statement because I've never been in the room with those bigger companies. But
Sure.
I feel like at least from a small business perspective, small business owners are incredibly cautious about not just the bottom line, but also about harming their relationship with their customers because they realize that there's only a certain set number of customers that they actually interact with on a daily basis. And so if
Right.
you violate your relationship with that small pool of customers, you are dead as a small company.
That's right.
Whereas a
Yeah.
larger company at least can. Oh, sorry. Go
You've
ahead.
got you got overage or overhead, excuse me.
Yeah, you've got some
Yeah.
room to play.
Yeah. And as a bigger company, you've got someone who can do spin control. You've got someone who can say, you've got a company who can come up with a brilliant idea of putting Jack in the Box on a commercial saying, hey guys, I had to buy back the company after that embarrassing bit of media. I'm going to make a
Right.
bunch of changes. Like that was brilliant
Yeah.
and costs, several million probably.
Or like Tide. Like my goodness,
Tide?
Tide
The fabric softener?
the fabric softener, right? That went from, oh my gosh, a couple of kids are eating Tide Pods and Tide is terrible.
Uh-huh.
And Tide swung that around to now it is a popular meme, right? So it's got social capital among regular cultural vocabulary.
Uh-huh.
If you want to make a joke, you can always just rely on Tide. Make on a Tide joke if you're at a social engagement or working around the office. Oh, hey, Larry, what you got there for lunch? Looks like some Tide Pods. Oh yeah, you're Larry. You're just the office jokester, right? So it's got everyday value as a marketing ploy. But then also with like their whole Super Bowl campaign, where they went with the meme that, oh, is this a car commercial? Is this a suit commercial? Is this a food commercial? Well, you never know. It's going to be a Tide commercial. Which the whole idea behind that ad campaign, right, is you now never know. At any point in
Sure.
time, you could be watching something and you're going to think, oh, at the very end, the last 5 seconds, the guy can come on and say this was actually a Tide commercial. So now, effectively, what it does in the moment
I
for anybody
appreciate
that's seen that is every single commercial, people are sitting there going, oh, it could be a Tide commercial. Like, so every single commercial then becomes your commercial. Like, you've co-opted every other commercial.
That's nefarious
Yeah, it's brilliant, right?
and really brilliant.
So from a content perspective, Tide couldn't go out as a company and go, hey, we're going to ban memes,
No, of course not.
right? But they repurposed it,
That's really smart.
right? Which in some ways, again, not to argue your point, but in some ways, some people could argue, well, that is a form of censorship. It's a denial or an overlooking of what potentially was a large news story. Potentially,
Yeah, it's disingenuous.
Yeah, there you go.
Meh. It's more clever than I could think of, so you're not allowed to do it.
I don't have a comeback for this.
I don't have a comeback for that at all.
Your
Memeing
mouth.
is for the internet to do, not companies. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
okay. Can't do that. I'm not able, I can't make fun of you. My currency comes with comments and forwards and retweets.
Which,
You're not getting.
in today's world, as the company's representative, I can say my company also thrives on retweets and
Oh, yeah.
and clicks.
Yeah, because it's more eyeballs on my junk,
Stuff. Yep.
all the stuff.
Yep. Which is great. Which, on the one hand, as we're discussing censorship, like it's not like companies want to censor certain things unless it is detrimental in some way, again, to their goals.
Or if it could be.
Or
If there's
it
a
could be.
risk, and
Yeah.
you think, I can't take that risk, guys. I got to catch you loose.
Yep.
Or you're getting something demonetized, and that stinks. I was thinking also, and I remember this being a big deal. I can't remember which platforms it was or was not a part of, but there were collections of, I will say, undesirable image. You know, this isn't what we want to promote. You're getting banned. You're getting banned. You're getting banned. You're getting banned. You're all getting banned. Oh, but you're not banning these other extremists that are way worse. But then it all comes back to eyeballs. How many eyeballs are on those other extremists that are, quote, worse, but aren't making as much of a splash?
Yeah.
Until the person who says, "Look at these things that are worse," then they get more hits, obviously, because you just Barbra Streisanded them.
Yeah, you
existence.
just gave them a platform.
Yeah. So, my side sounds stupid now.
But
the other one was okay. I do have
not.
one.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's not. I did have the notion that if I'm on the YouTubes and I'm cranking out 3 videos a week,
Yeah.
10 minutes long each, and I'm reliably creating this stuff, and I'm on it, and then YouTube changes how I can monetize it by a fraction of a penny per view, and suddenly I'm short $500 a month. Like, I am embarrassed to say that it's not fair.
Sure.
But I'll bet your terms of use say you can do that anyway.
Yeah.
And since the attention span of a viewer, not a content creator, but a viewer, is just long enough to say, "That's dumb, you shouldn't do that." And then in the next 10 seconds, I'll go, "Man, I wonder what I can watch on YouTube."
Yeah.
A customer on YouTube ultimately doesn't care because they're paying with their eyeballs and they're not going to stop watching it.
Yep. They're just
They're
going
not
to
gonna
move on to
stop
the next thing.
I'm gonna do. There's a billion things I can watch. 1 billion, probably more.
Yeah.
I'll just go find something else.
That's just the number of cat videos.
It's so I'm afraid to look them up. I bet I wouldn't stop.
And those are just the cat
then-
videos of Jake.
Sure, I should make cat videos of my cats. I just don't. I'm not a doer, man.
It's okay. I love you as a thinker.
Well, there you go. I want people to profit off of my ideas.
And as representative of Big Corp Incorporated, we want people to profit off your ideas too. So make lots of good content, host it on our platform. We won't censor you unless you hurt our bottom line, which
Yeah.
would also hurt your bottom line.
Hey, it sure would.
Now, to some extent, like thus far in the conversation, we've pretty much been playing on my home turf
Yeah.
because you're ceding all of this ground about terms of service.
Yeah.
Like, you're not fighting me at all on terms of service, which is fine. I'm more than happy just to say, yes, we're partners in this and trust us to make all the right decisions. But
Yeah,
what happens when a company like Tencent is the company,
Tell me more.
right? Where Tencent is owned by a large percentage of the Chinese government.
Okay.
And they're also responsible not only for almost every single internet endeavor that has any sort of success that is homegrown in China, but they also, because they're partially owned by the government, they get to enforce that if you're going to come to their country and set up shop, you have to sell off a portion of your company to Tencent.
How much?
It depends.
Is
It
it-
depends on the
is it
size of the
negotiable?
venture. Yeah, it depends.
Ooh.
Well, who knows how negotiable that is? Again, those are more rooms that I've never been in.
Yeah.
But the vice president of one company that makes a massive, massive mobile game. It's one of the top 10 mobile games played in the world. I've gotten to meet her and chat with her. And
Cool.
when they replicated in China, it was amazing to see and to hear from her just a little bit of what she could say, which wasn't much, but it was very
she-
interesting.
Can't say now.
Which she couldn't say much at that point. So I'm alluding to most of the stuff that she said, which is that there's partnerships that are involved. There's prices for doing business in China, and part of them is selling off some of your company, and part of it is also agreeing, as is often the case in any country, good business practices, making sure that you're hiring people from the local area. But of course, when the government gets involved with hiring people from the local area, we call that cronyism.
Yeah, it's a kind of a nepotism thing, right?
Yeah. So, and we can separate it again. It doesn't have to be big bad, government owned corporations. If any corporation is going to be that stringent whenever they're moving to a new zone and they start to cut off access to certain things. For instance, Facebook isn't in China. Like outside of China, it is the world's #1 social media site.
So then that's because Facebook would have to get in a room with China and make some concessions and sell off a stock of Facebook,
Yeah, and they'd have
and they're
to
just
give up
not willing to take that risk.
and they'd have to give up a bunch of control, which
Yeah.
gets into another, discussion of importance regarding,
Who even owns this company?
who owns the company, but then also all sorts of paranoid tinfoil stuff about, Russia, political influencing, botting, influencing
not this
people's social
conversation.
behavior. Right. That's not this conversation. But the point is if you give away some of your code to people who then know how to repurpose it and have access to repurpose it,
You know,
they have no need to repurpose it in the same office that you're using it for the legitimate purposes of your original company. They can send the code elsewhere and let other people mess with it and
Sure.
then begin tampering with your company or begin
Sure.
tampering with your customers for their benefit, which may also
Yeah.
in the short term or long term benefit you.
yeah.
So depending on how it goes, you may choose to look the other way. And
Yeah, that's a million discussions.
so all of that comes back to censorship to say there are times where companies choose to censor things. And as they choose to censor things, it's not always because of the bottom line. Sometimes it's politically motivated. Sometimes it's socially motivated. There's actually a couple of other social media platforms, WeChat being the #1 primary one, that's actually larger than Facebook. And people here, people west of China have never, or east of China, or whatever, just outside of China, have never even heard of it. And so they think, oh, world's #1 social media site. Well, it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. It's like, literally, there are billions of Chinese. Like, and then also, right next door, there are billions of Indians that are all getting internet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. And they all want to be on social networks, just like you and I do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't want to. It's gross.
Sure. So, beyond that, though, there is that question of what happens when a company comes in and says, "Nope, you can't talk about that. Nope, you can't use that. Nope, we're going to ban that." For instance, why is it that for the longest time, right, you can't share a snuff video, right, or not necessarily for pornographic purposes, but for simply news breaking purposes, right? A lot of the time, news actually gets filtered and censored off of Facebook. If somebody was to go and live stream an attack on their town from the Middle East, Twitter actually and Reddit have been two massive sites where people have gone during times of local crisis to let the world know exactly what's going on.
Sure.
And if you've got censorship on those sites that say, you know what, we want our site to be www.allaboutcats.com.
Right. We want to make sure that when people go here, they are not reminded that an awful thing that you can't do anything about is happening now.
Yeah.
We don't. If you tell someone that, they won't buy shit.
Yep.
They'll be sad. They'll be sadder than they were about their job they hate, and sadder than they were about their kids that they can't relate to, and they'll be sadder. It'll be the one more thing that means they'll never buy anything again.
Yeah, yeah. And they'll never visit our site.
Ever. It's I went there one time and I saw this video. Oh, I can't even talk about it. I'll never go back.
Right.
Oh, what was it?
And that's a risk. Like that is a risk from the content platform's perspective.
Yes.
Like we can't risk certain types of content damaging our bottom line. Then again, in a free market economy, you've got other people who are then going to do just the opposite. Whether that's Live Leak, there was another one too. I forget what it's called, where it basically specializes as a platform for people to publicly release information about stuff going on. Was it? I want to say it was. No, it's not that. I don't want to missay it. Anyway, point being that there are then some other social media platforms or some other social sites that then take advantage of the scenario, if taking advantage is even the right word, but rather see an opportunity in the market
There you go. Same thing.
and then say, hey, great, we can actually provide a service that our competition doesn't want to provide, which means we're not really in competition. That's the first
Yes.
thing.
Which means it's free money.
Yeah, and then the second thing,
Advertisers. You want to advertise on this?
yeah. And then you can specialize your advertising to the audience as well.
It's true.
Because you know a little bit more about your audience. Hey, our audience doesn't like platform A,
Right.
and these are all the things that we know about users who use platform A. So now we can have better informed advertising, better targeted advertising.
Sure.
Now, all that being said, it still sucks if your YouTube video gets demonetized.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks to see, well, because demonetization and banning and stuff is a very big stick. It's a very big stick to hit a person with when it is too easy for a human to say, well, I'm not as evil as the other guy who's getting banned. I'm just not.
Yeah.
I don't deserve this. What I do is harmless to me and my user base who like my stuff. Right?
Yeah.
And, oh boy. It's tough to remember that the number of report this video clicks is another piece of data that you're looking at.
Sure.
Report this video. Why? I don't like it. It made me sad, and I don't want to feel sad. So you should not give me the ability to see this on accident.
Yep.
That's what I want. Well, hey, you're my customer, and your eyes are worth this, so yeah, I'll do what you want.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say it's illegal because obviously it's not, but it is worrisome to give. Man, I don't know. This may be a bridge too far, but
Go for it. Leap off it.
I suspect that ultimately, if we're so bent on giving people what they want, specifically those who are like, don't show me sad things.
Yeah.
Don't show me anything that'll make me less happy. Don't do it. If we acknowledge that mindset, if we feed that mindset that, oh, this is what they want, we should give them what they want. Giving someone what they want is a good thing. They'll always get what they want. I believe that breeds unstable minds.
For sure. But now again, role playing.
Yeah.
For the purposes of the discussion, what does, oh boy, and this is just me going total utilitarian because a salesperson would never say this to you, but total utilitarian, my company has zero obligation to the general health and wellness.
Yeah, but unless the health and wellness happen to be a negative to your bottom line.
Yep.
Which it probably isn't. I would suspect that if you had drugs that made people happy and you had a way to filter out all the drugs that made people sad and you had that haven of, guys, just come to me.
Yeah.
I have the happy videos. Just come to me.
Yeah.
I got rid of all the bad stuff. Just come back.
Yeah, I think there is a part of that. And I think that's where you would have to. I think that's where you have to go as a representative of your side, right? Like you have to go. No, you are destroying the fabric of society, which that's like the argument against all the social media that we see nowadays.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be that argument because, again, as long as you cede me ground on terms of service, like, hey, it's my platform. So let's use this as an example. I own a chair.
You do.
And everyone who wants to sit in that chair, while they are sitting in that chair, they are allowed to say whatever it is that they want to say.
Great.
Okay.
I want to sit in that chair.
Yeah, they own the chair. They get to sit. They get to say.
Okay.
It's called the saying sitting chair.
When's my turn?
And everybody wants a turn. And so I start selling turns to the sitting
Cool.
selling chair.
Great. Me next. Me.
But now someone gets in the sitting selling chair
Yeah. Okay. I'm in it.
and says, actually, I hate this company.
Yeah. This chair sucks. Why'd I have to wait in line for 10 years for this chair?
This chair is
bullshit.
uncomfortable.
It's I don't feel cozy. It doesn't vibrate or massage at all.
And
It's old. It's
And
outdated. Oh my
it's-
gee.
it's corrupt. The only people who are getting to sit in this chair are actually people that have paid off the CEO's personal bank account to sit in the
Yeah.
chair.
Did you guys know that? Now you know.
Now, if for instance, say for the sake of this hypothesis, that is not actually true. It's simply a claim, but
Sure.
it's not actually true. Regardless of whether it's actually true or not, that it doesn't matter from the company's perspective. At this point, the company's just worried about, oh my goodness, could some people think about that? And it's going to impact the sale and the availability and the desirability of sitting in the chair.
Yeah, for sure.
Now people don't want to sit in the chair.
Sure.
So
it was
be-
convincing enough. It wasn't about whether it's true. It was always convincing.
There you go. So now, because we let that dude say anything he wanted, which was in line with our original desire of this product,
Sure was.
we're now losing money.
Dang. Maybe we shouldn't have done that.
So now we've got to change our terms of service.
That's right. Change them right now.
You can sit in the chair as long as we think what you are saying in the chair does not in any way, shape, or form harm the bottom line of our company.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, even though we're playing on my terms, boy, it's kind of ruchy, right?
Yeah. You wish you had. You wish your hand had not been forced, but it has been. Like you had to do that.
I had to. Like, the dude's hurting my bottom line. I'm not going to sell off the company and be done with it. There's still money to be made in this market. There's still people who want to sit in the chair.
Sure. I'll take them instead.
Yeah.
I just got to shoot for a narrower.
Or,
I got a narrow audience.
and this is, again, what my clients that I'm representing tonight do so often. Or we just say, hey, delete that video that guy made when he was sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
Don't let that
Quietly.
don't let that video get out,
Don't let it. Nobody can see it.
because that
Makes us-
video can destroy us
Yeah.
as a company. And hey, and we all have kids and families and jobs and wants and desires, and that's not wrong.
Nope.
There's nobody complaining about that. I think that's a good
Sure.
thing.